Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Why I Need podcast. We are glad that you have joined us today. And we've got a guest joining us. Her name is Kehinde Anifowose. She's a wonderful lady. She's been doing great things in the financial industry. So before we go too deep into it, I want you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like, share, and we will appreciate it if you can engage us in the comment section. So with that being said, I'm gonna bring Kehinde on and thank you for joining us. We're glad to have you here. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here this evening.
Yes, we are excited to have you here as well. For a lot of people that don't know you and know what you do, can you give us a brief introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Kehinde. I'm really to in some little words, I'm a entrepreneur, so a passionate, multidimensional entrepreneur. I've really started my entrepreneurship journey when I was 13, actually. But as a really an expert in life insurance, investment, mortgage loans, and financial strategies, my goal is to help individuals and families, one, build long-lasting wealth by really just simplifying complex financial concepts we hear on a daily basis, but also helping them, take control of their money. And overall, the mission is to bring hope when it comes to finances, but also help people build wealth that can eventually lead to financial independence. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, thank you very much for that brief introduction. We're Nigerians in America, so we really don't have a lot of the financial or a lot of the American financial knowledge in us. We hope we can learn a lot from you. You can talk to us about investment, talk to us about life insurance, and what we can do, ways, things we can get into to be able to build a long-lasting wealth. Because a lot of Africans, when it comes to the US, their goal is to work for a few years and then retire and eventually go back home and retire back home. But, you know, things are changing. The American economy is changing. Our African economies back in Africa, they're all changing. So we all need to
Yeah.
find a way to pivot and adjust as we go. So you said you started entrepreneurship at 13. So what were you doing at the age of 13?
Yeah, my mom took us to really, I and all my siblings had to go learn work. This was when we were in Nigeria. So I actually went into a fashion school. I was the youngest. I dealt with, older women. Nobody really knew my age unless you asked. And so through going to fashion school, I ended up getting some customers. So, I would, get whatever style they want to make and go out and buy the materials and, make the cloth and then sell it to them. And I had to charge them, a specific rate that I feel like was reasonable for myself. And I made some profit from it. So yeah, that's how it really just began with just at the time, I didn't know I was doing business. I just thought I was making money. And that was okay to me. But yeah, that's how it got started.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And funny enough, I like the fact that your mom exposed you to entrepreneurship at a very young age. But we've seen the trend in Nigeria now that when people go to college, they graduate after 5 or 6 years, depending on how long the strike is, if they don't have the means to go to private schools. People at the end of 4, 5, 6 years, they go back towards entrepreneurship because the government is not able to provide jobs and the economy is not even supporting a lot of the existing jobs. So that is a very good exposure. And I'm sure it's one of the things that push you towards being an entrepreneur in America. So I'm going to turn it over to Evis for his questions.
Thank you, Kende, for gracing this invitation. We are really glad that you did, and we are not going to take this for granted. And then we are not going to forget the days of little beginning. So, there will be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I am really impressed with your background in finance. I've been peeping into your Instagram and I've seen a lot of your work, very outspoken, I'm also impressed about your background in fashion design. I think it is a very good one. Is a very good. I think it's a very good thing to do. At that young age, you decided to do it. I have been, whenever I have the opportunity to talk to, I'm not old, people younger than me, I always tell them that, okay, get a skill, then go to college, okay? Because your skill could pay for your college,
Yeah.
let's say in Nigeria. And today, fashion design is a gold mine, Call somebody for a simple design, they'll be calling thousands of naira. So I think it's a good thing. You made the right choice. I think my opening question would be, um, for us, Nigerians, some of us we come here. Some of us come here at the age of 40. I was opportune to come here when I was a bit younger. How do we build wealth? Knowing that almost everything in this system, the system, almost everything is against us. How do we build wealth? Where do we start from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think when we look at this financial journey, we all make money, right? Whatever way or form you make, you bring money in. And when you think about building wealth, it's really a journey. I think that's the first thing people need to understand, that you don't just, come to the US in 1 year and, everything blossoms great if that's you, but like that's like less than 10% of the population of people. So first, kind of starting with, understanding that building is a journey, but also two, realizing that as you start to build, you want to build it the right way. I talk to a lot of the people I sit down with about building a financial house, right? And when you're building a house, the foundation is the first thing that has to go on. Like if you can, even if you try to do it, like you can't really build a house without the foundation. Same thing with your finances. The foundation of your finances is really some protection in place, insurance in place, making sure if something were to happen to you tomorrow, your family is not left to suffer, right? So getting that insurance in place, but that's really just the beginning. That's not the end or be all, right? It's having that in place, but also building on top of that. This is getting the retirement in place, getting the college education, budgeting, all these different things that kind of eventually lead to you building a house. Because if you don't do it the right way, you're still going to end up coming back to having to do it the right way. So when it comes to really building wealth, I would say major things is one, understanding is a journey. Two, starting by laying your foundation and building on top of your foundation. So yeah.
I think you really did a good job explaining that, especially with the foundation. A lot of people shy away from insurance, especially when it has to do with the life insurance. The common consensus is that we are not dying anytime soon. So, and that is something that we don't quite discuss well in African setting, because we
Yeah.
think it's a taboo. And, from your explanation and then from one of the guests we brought before now, and I begin to see the need for that, and I'm really grateful for that. So I think my follow-up question would be, for somebody that is just coming to America at the age of 45, where would they start from? Knowing well that, retirement age is around 60, 65. If you didn't want to push it, maybe 68, you don't really have a lot of time. And considering the fact that this person will be trying to stabilize, get rooted in this place, and then where would the person start from?
Yeah, so if you're thinking about like retirement for someone that just came into the US, past the insurance stuff, I think, in order to get to the goal, first you need to determine what is the goal, right? And you stay until age 67, 68, but even though you don't know yet, still have an idea. But also kind of determine, okay, do I plan to actually stay here? If I plan to stay here, okay, we have something we're working with. And it just comes down to starting to set money aside today. If you're 45, you don't have a lot of time to wait. That's really the reality of things, because the longer you wait to start planning, the more money is actually going to cost you to hit the goal, or you never might not actually hit it. So I would say to that person is start setting money aside right now. You need a retirement account. So start setting money into a retirement account, but also start setting money right now for your emergency account. I think emergency account is something a lot of people overlook in the sense of I'm just gonna invest all the money and not have anything in emergency and $1,000 emergency happen and we're stopping it using a credit card. Meanwhile, if we had just set aside money, we can actually solve that problem with it. So I would say that person is open your retirement account, start contributing money to it, find what your FIN number is. This is called your financial independence number. It's how much money you want to have saved by the age you retire in order to have a certain kind of lifestyle. Someone in their 40s, the average person in their 40s right now needs at least $1 million at whatever age they retire to have a comfortable lifestyle. That's if they decide to stay here. Now, if you going back to Nigeria, it's a whole different situation. You can go back with a reasonable amount and be a millionaire in Nigeria and have a nice lifestyle. So that FIN number just helps you determine how much money you need to start setting aside now. It's probably gonna be a lot. Like I'm not gonna say, oh, $50 is gonna get you there because it's not. You probably need to start setting aside probably 200 something more if you actually want to have something decent when you get there. But don't forget that emergency component because it does make everything worth it and you actually have a strategy.
Okay. That's that's quite interesting. I like the way you're approaching the question. Like it's beginning to sound like you rehearsed it.
No, I did not. I think, just routine of having this conversation with people is kind of like, okay, yeah, actually 90% of my clientele are Nigerians. So this is not like the first time someone is asking me exactly that. And so that's probably why it sounds routine because I deal with a lot of people asking kind of about the same questions.
Yeah, I mean, I've been opportune to listen to you in the church the other time you guys did that. So based on that, I'm not saying you rehearsed it. In fact, we never talked before now. So my next question before I will yield to Yemi is, what is the common mistakes of financial investment or financial mistakes or investment mistakes you see, within our community?
Hmm, that's a
And
good
how can
question.
we and what do we do or how can we avoid those mistakes?
I would say one of the most common mistakes I see and encounter people is, there's a misconception that insurance is an investment. I think that's one of the biggest things I see is people actually have a life insurance policy, but they think it's an investment and trying to help them differentiate that those are two different products. And so I see a lot of people that are putting money into insurance and thinking that's their retirement. And it's like, it's actually not, that's not how it works. And kind of just that misconception is it's really one of the biggest thing I'll say really as of lately when it comes to that. Another thing I would say is people not just relying on social security and not actually knowing if they're actually on track to get it, but also just, hey, I don't need to save. I have social security. Well, social security might be gone by the time you decide to retire. So you actually need to take control of that journey for yourself and actually make sure you're on track to do it.
You too, Yemi. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing good justice to those questions. And my question is still gonna be in the same line of questioning that we talked about a few minutes ago, right? So many of us as immigrants, when we come in, we are looking to work, make money, and maybe save a little to build a house or two back in Africa because we don't really plan to stay here for long. But I believe a lot of that is changing now. So for people that are either looking to go back to Africa or looking to remain, is there a way for them to build wealth faster because, like you said, wealth is a long game and your foundation has to be right. Many of us, we don't really have that financial knowledge in Africa. Some young people here, they don't really talk about money much in school. So it's up to you to figure it out. It's up to you to find a way to not make the mistakes that your parent made so that you can, have a better financial future. So is there a way to fast track building wealth for people looking to stay here or people looking to move abroad later down the road?
That's a really good question, and I was actually thinking about it as of late, and I could be wrong, but really the realization I came to is when it comes to building wealth, there are really two main things, like two main ways to get there. The first way is you either invest, and if you want to get there faster, you're gonna have to invest a lot of money, right, to get to that goal. Or the second way is to build a business. Those are really the only two legal ways, I should say, right? The only two legal ways that I see that people can actually fast track when it comes to building wealth is either the business and your business, you work and your business produces income that you can actually save a lot more money to get there, or you're investing heavily in order to get to the goal. Yeah, I wish it was there was something else that I could do, but as far as I know, I truly believe those are really the two major ways that people can fast track their goal.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So there's no shortcuts. There's no quick way to build wealth. Okay.
No.
So yeah, so you have to start early, and this is for young people out there. Whenever you start making money, make sure you start early. Many of us, we came in the 20s, and we started. Many of us didn't start at 20 because we still wanted to enjoy a little bit, and to spend all of our money and not plan for the future. But as you grow older, you know that, hey, well, if I'm gonna leave to 60 to 70 to 80 and I don't want to walk, have a job when I'm 80, still don't want to be working there, you need to start making plans right now. So it's a long game. The the longer you're in the game, the more wealth you're able to build. All right. So thank you very much for that explanation. So what are the challenges and the successes you've experienced as an immigrant in the financial industry in the US?
Yeah, so I guess let me start with the successes. I think one of the success I've experienced here is kind of what I bring to the table in the sense of I'm Nigerian. I really don't consider myself like a full American yet because I have a lot of strong Nigerian roots. So, what I bring to the table is I probably bring a lot more different perspective than how most people think and how most people think it should be. So it's kind of like, having that Nigerian mentality that you bring up, but I also went through the school system here. So I also know how some of the things are done and how we do it, and kind of bringing both of those worlds to the table has been a success, especially with the people I sit down with, because you're like, you're Nigerian enough and you've been to school here, so you kind of understand how the system works and those different opportunities that we don't know about that is out there. And so that has really been a great success, but also kind of just planting my flag in the industry. I started actually be about 4 years here in July, and I went to school for biology. So it's kind of like going through school for biology and kind of dipping your feet in finance and deciding, okay, finance is the way, and deciding that early on and being like, okay, I just got to make it work has been a huge success. So that really allowed me to get my licenses. I think I was fully licensed, which is my life insurance and investment license before I was 21, and I got my mortgage license a year after. So really just getting it early on and just setting the standard has been a success. I would say a challenge I've experienced, and this was actually during high school, was getting comfortable to talking with people. It sounds like I talk a lot now, but like my first semester of high school here, I did not talk much. I just kept quiet, and because I didn't know how my voice was gonna be perceived, I didn't know if it was American enough. I'm like, I sound very Nigerian right now. Like, how can I do it? But I was able to work through that really through getting involved in different activities, and that kind of brought me out of my shell. So I was able to really just work through that, and I started to see the fruit of it. Another challenge I experienced, this was kind of during college, was just deciding to go to business versus going the traditional route. Because, we're expected to go to school, get a job, and stay at the job and make the money and just do that. Nobody talked about, going to school and going into business. It was very new. It was like, do you know what you're doing? Is this gonna work? Are you sure? Right. And having to overcome that because, if I'm confident in myself and I have people around me that are doubting me, I could begin to doubt myself. Right. And kind of just going through that phase. I believe if you keep at what you're doing, eventually people kind of come around. And they're like, okay, maybe she knows what she's doing, or she's onto something. But that was really a big challenge that I had to overcome going into business and realizing that not everybody's gonna like what I'm doing, and that's okay.
Yes, that's a very good point. And it's the African way, it's the Nigerian way. Our parents tell us go to school, get a good job. Like our parents, created a business where we would, get a good job and be the CEO of the company, right?
Yeah.
So that's what our parents tell us. They want us to go to college, get a good job, and have a secured future. And we know in today's economy, a lot of things are no longer secure, right? A lot of jobs are no longer secured, especially if you have a job that can be taken away by AI. You probably need to get into some AI proof jobs. And I also believe that entrepreneurship is the way, right? Because in entrepreneurship, if you're an entrepreneur, you're able to control how much money you make, you're able to control how much hours you work. And even though starting it, you have to invest a lot of hours to be able to make it work. At the end of the day, you're building something for yourself. You're building something for your unborn children. So you don't have to force them to go to college or force them to get a good job. So you're basically building something for them, which is really good. And I would hope that our parents now are starting to have a rethink of the way they push their children to go to college. I don't have anything against going to college. I've been to college for I was in college. I went to college in Nigeria. I went to college here in the US, and I've got a couple of degrees under my belt. So I would definitely advise that if entrepreneurship is your way, yeah, you look into it. Don't try to put all of your eggs in one basket. The degree is good. It's gonna open doors for you, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're majoring. If you do decide to go to college, you're majoring in something that will still be around in the next few years. Right? We're in the 20th century. Technology is here to take a lot of jobs away. Automation is here. So yeah, if you can't build something, you need to go into a secure profession.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I like how you shared your experience in high school. I didn't go to high school here, so I really don't know what goes on in high school. So, did you
Yeah.
learn about money? Did they talk about money in high school here?
No, no. I never took any class that talked about money in high school. Nope. No. I think I
Wow.
got exposed to money when I started working, making money, and all I knew was, I make the money, I spend it, I keep it a little bit for a goal that I have. But once I achieve that goal, the money's gone again. But yeah, no one told me about that in high school.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just human nature. The first money you make, if you don't really have a goal for it, you're gonna spend it. You're gonna spend it anyhow, and if you don't have a goal for the money, if you don't have a plan for it, you'll probably waste it, and hopefully you won't regret the decisions you make with the money. So it's part of the useful exuberance, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And before I turn it over to, I do have another question for you, right? And do you also do tax planning, estate planning, or do you focus more on investment management and financial or life insurance?
So I do more of financial planning, not specific tax planning, estate planning, kind of cover a little bit on that with, the different accounts and some different tax strategies that you can use. But I'm not an expert in like tax planning or estate planning.
Okay. Sounds good. So, you're certified to help people, whether in life insurance or in investing their money, right?
Yep, yeah. So I do life insurance investments. This could include retirement account like Roth IRAs, uh, additional IRAs, kids account, 529s, ARMAs, or short-term account, annuities. So kind of like all the lines when it comes to investment account.
Okay. Sounds good. Over to you, Elvin.
Thank you. I mean, you are surprising me. I am, wow. Though I'm not too surprised because I've seen your work. So I think my next question will be, I think you kind of touched a little bit of it, the motivation behind, your career choice. I mean, you are charting on uncharted territory. I've not really seen a lot of us in the finance. I've seen a little bit of people in the mortgage, in life insurance, those people. uh, I just, this is my opinion. I just think they're out there to dagbo people. It looks like you are taking your time. You are taking out, you are taking everything, checking off everything that, you know, you are legit. Some people have seen into that are into life insurance. I just feel like they're out there to dagbo people and they're backstabbing people. So my question is, what is the motivation behind this? And I am glad also that you are, in this line of work. In fact, you will be a source of inspiration for a lot of people. For seeing you doing this will be encouraged, to do it as opposed to our traditional engineering, law, medicine, that most African parents advise their children to do. That is what my children would do. So after they do that, they can
Okay.
after they do that, they can go do whatever they want. So I like it that you are inspiring people. So what is the motivation behind this and what are the challenges?
Yeah, so I would say my biggest motivation is really to be able to help that child that I couldn't get the help in the sense of, growing up, we lost my dad. So I got to see what it looks like to go from a two-parent household to a one-parent household early on and kind of the challenges that come with that when, we weren't prepared for it. Right, it happened and now we have to move on and deal with it. And so I feel like growing up, there wasn't a lot of resources I got or my family got because we just didn't know. And we're in a country that, no one was really kind of advocating. People come to say, hey, we're sorry this happened. And after that, you would never really hear from them and kind of just having to navigate that. I think that was my motivation to help that little girl that I was never to have that happen to them. I mean, preparing. That's why I'm more focused on, I want to do everything right, but also let's take our time and actually educate the person so they know what it is, so they know what they're navigating and really what that looks like for them. I think that's my biggest motivation. The challenges that comes with that is, when the person that was why I started, but like right now my motivation is a little bit different. Is preparing for the future, preparing for my family and being in a position where I can build something that I can step out of. Kind of balancing the initial motivation and the motivation now and trying to make sure you're doing both at the same time can be a little bit, challenging because sometimes you're like, well, I still want to do this, but then it doesn't really fully lead me into my future goal, but it's still right for me to do. So yeah, I would say that's really the struggle when it comes with the motivation. And there are some days that I do not have motivation and I just do it because I'm already committed to it. And I just, get through the day and remind myself, okay, this is why I started it and this is why I'm doing it and just go from there. So not all days are 100% for sure.